I just clicked go live.
Sounds good. How do I? All right, so we're live now, yeah?
Yeah, we're live now, Rama. So, hello, my name is James Follent. I'm here with a good friend and colleague, Ramadan, or as I like to call him, Rama, and we're going live for our first episode of Kitchen Conversations, an opportunity
Yes,
for us to test out our tech nerdiness and see how technology works together whilst we're in social isolation. So,
that's it.
Rama, how do I know you and how long have I known you?
So I think you've known me for 6 years, I think, almost seven, going to seven, I believe,
It's about right.
at the end of 2020. So I met you in 2013. You were this 18-year-old kid, just finished high school, rocked up at the office and said, hey, I got a job. Uh, And then we assume that you got the job from your dad, which is not really your dad. I think your distant relative at the office, who was a general manager at the time. And yeah, that's where I first met you. This 18-year-old kid who just goes, "All right,
Yeah.
I told you to go and set up your computer, and you decided to set up your computer in the kitchen for whatever reason, even though there's other desks around."
Wandered in, looking as fresh as freshly cut grass.
So I gave you a couple of, I gave you a couple of computer components, and you set yourself up in the
Mm.
kitchen. Yeah,
Mm.
a weird place for you to set up, but
Yeah.
you did.
Oh well.
But yeah, so we've been working together ever since. In one form or another. I think you were working directly reporting to me at some point, not directly reporting to me, and then somehow reporting to me again in a half capacity now. So it's you've had a journey in this company. So
As what a journey it's been,
yes, yes,
which is
uh,
all part of the
correct, correct.
part of the
So
fun.
I mean, look, just to give everybody a bit of a background, we work for a retailer, a British retailer that is currently going through some difficult time because we're in the travel. So this lockdown or this coronavirus situation has impacted our business significantly, and I guess we were doing as much as we can in terms of working remotely, but at the same time, our business focus on people being at those locations that we have shops, and unfortunately, those locations don't have any people in them at the moment.
Yeah, and when
So
when we look at
yeah,
passenger numbers going through airports, when there's no
yeah,
planes flying, there's
yeah.
nothing to
No,
help sell to people to make their journeys as easy and smooth as possible.
correct. So that's again, that's where we work. So I thought, look, you know what, let's have a quick, let's have a conversation about this social isolation. I guess everyone is going through it around the world, but I guess we can sort of give our view on it from somebody who's going through it in Australia.
Hmm.
Somebody who's going through it in Sydney, who's or in New South Wales, who's got the largest case in the whole country.
Hmm.
And yeah, just to see. I think today we wanted to see what our goals are during this isolation, isn't it, Jimmy? I think that's a
Yeah,
topic that we want to
that was
discuss.
the topic. What are our goals during isolation? Because we've
Yeah,
had some
so
conversations about that and offline, and we thought, why not share them online?
that's
We
it.
have the joy of being connected to the internet consistently and backgrounds in IT, so not why not dip our toes in the waters of live streaming and see how that goes. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're here today. So I know Rama, you started talking about some projects you were hoping to do around the house. What were some of those?
Oh, I wish I could get to. Oh, look.
Hey, Mum, I'm live streaming on Facebook.
Hello, we got a special guest.
Special guest.
Love it. Well, this is one of the things that when you're doing live streaming at home is that you never know what's going to happen. Not all of us have dedicated space so we can lock it, and it's like a little studio now. A lot of us tend to be in our little bedroom, in the living room. So some of the little projects I thought I was going to do around the house is to get my office set up, which I've done yesterday. So I've finally got all three screens up and running.
Very
Again,
nice.
working in IT. screens. I technically I'm working on 4 screens, and if you include my smartphone,
Yeah.
so just a lot of screens. And I finally got it up and running. So I've been working out of the living room for the last 3 weeks, which I thought was good in the beginning, but I found it to be too much distraction. There's a television, there's the spouse hovering around, so I thought, look, let's get myself a little dedicated space. So I have a second bedroom that I use
Yeah.
as an office, and at the moment that's where I am. So that's one of the biggest things I think I wanted to do, and I finally did that.
Yeah.
How about you, Jimmy? Well,
Good,
what have you
man.
been able to do? Or what are some of your
Yeah.
projects
Looking
that you were doing?
forward to getting married in October is one of the things that I'm in on the journey to preparing for. So started taking advantage of the time at home to look at what I have around me to figure out and start packing boxes ready to move out and starting to list a few things on eBay to be able to sell them, which has been good fun. Taking photographs, learning that process has been something I've been really enjoying at the moment, as well as just cleaning up the spaces at home that we use. I've been working on some of that with my brother, moving stuff, rearranging some of the stuff in the garage. He's a personal trainer, so he's potentially going to be doing training virtually in formats maybe similar to this online. So being able to have a space to do that is something we've also been working on and conscious about.
That's really good. That sounds like, I mean, look, marriage in general. I mean, I've been married for 6 years now. Going to 7 this year. So again, I'm going to be married as long as I've known you, Jimmy. So
Yep.
I think when you first met me, I think I just got married that year, I believe. So for a reason, that's it. See, our relationship coincides. But just to let you know that yes, marriage is again, it's a big project. It's a lifelong project, something that you got to work on every single day of your life. So I guess for me, personal experience, I'd say I don't think this is ever going to be finished. It's never going to be perfect. You're always gonna have your ups and downs, but that's the whole point of being in a relationship, or being in a marriage, is that you both got to work on it. And for me, the biggest thing is both party has to work on it. I mean, both sides. It can't just be one person working on it harder than the other,
Yeah.
because you're always gonna come across times when you're gonna compromise and you gotta give in, and then there's other times when you're gonna be the one with the hard head, and you're gonna let your wife give in.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but yeah,
Absolutely.
just I think eventually you learn to know each other and know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and know each other's limits,
Yep.
and know when to push and when to kind of back off.
Yep.
But yeah, even that process takes time. I didn't learn that immediately.
Yep.
So took me a couple of years before you learn when to, but yeah, eventually you get to know your partner very well, and surprisingly they'll probably know you better than you know yourself. So and then she'll probably call you out on that and go, I know exactly how you
Yep.
feel, and even though you don't want to admit it, for whatever reason, they'll know. So but yeah, that's an interesting situation for you. You're gonna get married in a situation that we're in now. So I think you're very brave to kind of go and sort of continue this, your preparation, because to be honest, at the moment, you don't know where things are going to be in 3, 6, 9 months. I think your wedding is in a couple of months, so
Yeah.
you don't know. You might
Yeah.
have a big wedding, like you plan, or you might have a small one, like what the government legislation allows
Yeah.
you to have.
Depending on
So
where everything lands. One thought and
like,
reflection I've had about that is just depending on where things land, it'll be a question of how many people we get to celebrate with, and as well as all the planning and preparation. Because it's the first wedding that we've planned for. I'm not sure how easy or hard the process is normally. So it's the first time I'm doing it. So this is the new normal.
it
Um,
is. It is.
I've got nothing to compare it to, which helps be more relaxed about the process, but also being shrewd about asking questions around things like what clauses are and options are there around things like postponements. So at some point or another, we'll get the opportunity to celebrate with the friends and family around us, even if it isn't as we had hoped for in October.
Well, I know it's unfortunate. Like I said, I think I've been looking forward to this for a number of years, as you know. We've been talking about this for a number of years for our working relationship. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it is what it is. And like me and you, we've had other plans that we had to sort of change or postpone. And then life is like that, isn't it? You never know. You never know. Like I said, in January, we didn't think we're going to be in this situation. So
Yeah.
I think it's all about first is just not just accepting that life is going to be is never going to be predictable.
Definitely.
And two is then how do you make the best of that situation?
Mm.
How do you go and try to view it in the most optimistic way? Because to be honest, like you can be pessimistic about a lot of things. You can be you can let life get you down, but that unfortunately that doesn't do you any better.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I learned, I'm not look, I'm not trying to be wise. I'm not that old, to be honest. I'm only in my 30s, but what I learned
Yeah.
a lot from my life experience early on is that
Yeah.
you gotta always look at things from the brighter side. Otherwise, it's just gonna drag you down even
Yeah.
further, no matter how bad the situation gets. So, but yeah, we probably can get into some of that in future episodes if we have future episodes, I
Future
suppose.
episodes. Definitely hoping for future episodes. It's always good to do a test run of something. Um, we've probably got five or so minutes left before we have to go. I
Yeah.
know we've had different conversations about what the market's looking like in amongst economics. What's your
Mm.
outlook like on that at the moment, Rama?
I mean, I think it's gonna. Well, again, I don't have a lot of experience in finance. I've only started looking into it when I picked up a finance unit in as part of my degree, and then I suddenly got quite interested in it, and then
Yeah.
I've sort of delved into it a lot more. But from what I've seen so far, things that surprisingly some industry are either unaffected or even doing better than they were before the pandemic. So although some industry are gonna struggle, like our company, for example, they've lost more than 50% of their stock value.
Yeah.
But then there's other company like Alphabet and Microsoft who are gaining value
Yeah.
because a lot of their products are actually supporting this situation. So yeah, I think in a situation like this, like the GFC in 2008, the overall market is going to be down, as you've seen. I
Yeah.
think the ASX, the S&P, and all the big indexes are down. But as history shows, the stock market always going to trend up no matter what. There's always going to be a down year, but overall, in the last 30 years, it
Yeah.
has always been trending up, and I don't think that's going to change in today's, I guess, in today's economy.
And
So
I haven't delved into investing yet myself, but I have always loved following companies and understanding how shares work because you get to share the profits of a company theoretically. So
yeah,
if you understand a service that has value for you and you think it's going to be around for a long time, why not have a look more deeply into what the financial backing is behind each of those companies? Like, I think of how often do we use Microsoft day to day as part of our lives in IT, in the office?
exactly. Every day we use their product, although not many people know. Everyone just thinks of it as a computer or Windows. No one really, no one really thinks about the company behind it. But Microsoft is a ginormous company, and they've got other products. But at the moment, their cloud offering is probably one of the biggest product or biggest money maker at the moment.
Yeah.
It's Azure, and of course now they've gone into a subscription model. That's just going to be I guess a cash flow that's going to continue to flow from now on, that's quite predictable. Where in the past they were selling product, so people will be buying it, and then no one will buy another product from them for another couple of years
Yeah.
because even again, non-techie people are never going to upgrade unless they have to, unless they've been forced to.
Yeah.
So Apple started with that trend of pushing it to upgrade, and Microsoft sort of jumped on the bandwagon in terms of the subscription model, and yeah, they've done well ever since. So now you're getting automatic upgrades, and you're paying for those upgrades by a subscription rather than you buying a software and you're never going to upgrade again until that software stops working or it stops meeting your need. And in the past, in an office, a word processor is never going to change its use, so you don't really need the new version.
Yeah.
You're never going to need the new version, but in this new model, you get the new one because you're paying a very small amount and you're not paying a bigger cash amount upfront. And I think Microsoft has done very well in that model.
And yeah, a clever idea that have kept customers engaged over the long term. So I guess
Yeah,
that
I mean, it
one of the
is.
goals we can consider is being more well educated, become more financially literate about what's going on in the markets and the worlds around us.
Look, yes, I think that's a big thing that here in Australia people need to start getting into. There's a lot of free resources out there now that are explaining the finance world in a more simple term. I think for me, I've used the Barefoot Investor as a learning platform quite often early on. His model is not perfect, but I think it breaks it down into such simple steps that you can probably take a lot of those steps and implement it. You don't have to take 100% of his steps because I think a lot of people don't agree with what he does. But there's definitely a lot of good foundation that he builds on that you can use. And once you get your financial literacy up, you can then start doing your own bits and pieces, which is what I've done. I've started very basic from all the steps that he's taught in terms of just putting money aside in splitting them as you get them, rather than trying to figure out what you got at the end of a week or at the end of a fortnight. As soon as that money land in your account, you split it into your different pools or your different buckets, he calls them, and then that way you know what you got to spend. And once you've run out of one of the buckets, that's it. You don't spend any more beyond that. And I think it teaches you to be disciplined with your money. And like that's the biggest first step, I think. And unfortunately, in Australia, a lot of people just tend to think that they're always going to have money coming in. And this coronavirus situation has taught us that that's not always the case.
Yeah,
the situation can change relatively quickly. You could have a very stable job, and next thing you know, you have no job. And yes, we have very good welfare system here, but at the same time, you do not want to be relying on the government to sustain you. You want to have a bit of financial independence, and a bit of I guess financial freedom. So you want to start working towards that. And like I said, it's not a paid endorsement. I'm not getting any money from him for this, but I think it's a very good first step. And a lot of the steps that he's teaching is available free on the net. You don't have to buy his book. He has a blog that teaches you a lot of the basics out of that. If you want a bit more detail, then you can buy his book, I suppose. But yeah, man, I think financial literacy, I think is a very good goal. I've been working on it for about a year and a half since that uni course that I took.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping you're doing the same. You're sort of,
that book's on my to-read list. And even the current situation that we're in now with COVID-19 has kind of forced me to recalibrate some of my thinkings and assumptions about the way I think about and use money, of a clear reminder of the importance of savings and not to live beyond your means, hearing stories in the news and learning from that. If you don't have the money to spend it, don't spend it, is a very simple rule. And consider what you value most when you make purchases. What's essential has been another thing that's been put into perspective.
And I'm pretty sure you're now that you're going into starting a family, or you're going into a marriage, means that you have another person that you are going to be responsible for, or you're going to be responsible for each other. Means that their view and their decision making also has to be taken into account. And in the past, you were quite free in terms of what to do with your disposable income, because you were living at home, you were paying any rent. Now you got a lot of the other things to think about, right? Rent, you got to save for a mortgage
Mm,
or for a deposit, and you also got to work on your whatever your goals are together,
definitely.
right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have this your goal as a couple that you want to get to. Got to work on that together. So yeah, there's not none of that where you go, oh, I'm just gonna take a holiday next week or
Yeah.
next month or next year.
Puts a
Freely.
good lot of perspective on choices we make and what we hope for, what we dream about, and what we value most as a couple. And it's good food for conversation we have. And anyway, I should thank everyone for joining us for our first episode of Kitchen
Yeah,
Conversations. We're building the plane as we fly it, and then we're going to circle back and review what we've just tried to stream live for the first time. So,
exactly. And then
anyone who's interested, hopefully, might be able to catch us similar time next week once
next
we
week
determine on and agree at a schedule together.
sounds good. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks, Jimmy.
No worries.
Appreciate it. Let's enjoy our Friday afternoon, eh?
Enjoy Friday afternoon.
See ya.
Enjoy the weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.